What is that one thing that gets you out of bed every morning, that motivates you? For Omar Zaki, it was discovering parkour, that indescribable feeling of physical activity and risk taking that taught his mind and body ultimate focus. In this episode of Tir-Kai Tales, we will learn how Omar takes a singular focus on a belief in himself to drive his dreams forward. It's this mantra that has helped a Hollywood stuntman, parkour athlete, and world chase tag competitor reach new heights. Enjoy. Hi, folks. Welcome to Tir-Kai Tales. On today's episode, we are talking with the incredible one and only Omar Zaki.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Thank you so much for joining us. Oh my gosh. Omar is a content creator, amazing content creator. He is a parkour athlete, a world chase tag athlete, and an amazing stunt actor.
Thank you so much.
Who is really working hard in Hollywood and making an impact. So we look forward to talking with you today, hearing about your background, your inspiration, how you face challenges, and just where you get this boundless energy. And I feel like I cannot start the podcast with Omar Zaki without giving the absolute amazing so here we go.
Let's do it. Thank you. I'm very excited to be here and to have this conversation, and just honored and excited to chat.
Thank you, Omar. This is going to be great.
Let's do it. Yeah.
So let's do it. So let's start from the beginning.
Sure.
Two tiny amoebas. No, not that far back.
Yeah.
But tell us a little bit about your upbringing, where you're from, where you were born, your family dynamic.
So briefly, I was born in Dubai in the UAE to an American mother and an Egyptian father. And then parents had me and my brother. Then my mom eventually wanted us to have an American education. So she brought my brother and myself back to the US, to Virginia, where I then grew up. So I think I lived in Dubai till I was 6 years old. Then when I was 6, our family moved back to Virginia. Father stayed in Dubai, and parents ended up getting an amicable divorce. They're still great. Communication is awesome. But then grew up mainly with my mother and my brother in Virginia until my mom ended up meeting my stepdad maybe 4 or 5 years later. And then grew up in Virginia till I was maybe 21, and then ended up pulling the trigger and moved to LA when I was 21. But growing up, I was doing everything from sports. I was mainly like a traditional sports athlete. So I ran track. That was like my main thing. I was a runner. Then I played soccer for 10 years. I was on swim team for 12 years. Then I found volleyball when I was 15 years old and fell in love with volleyball. And then things completely changed. Like when I turned 16 and I found parkour, that's when life changed.
I'll be darned.
Yeah.
Was there a particular athlete that you watched in parkour?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Totally.
That inspired you?
Totally.
And who was that?
The OG athletes, we're talking about Ryan Doyle, we're talking about Daniel Ilabaka, Tim Sheaf back in the day, Team 3 Run. They were a free running team with the Armitage brothers over in the UK. Phil Doyle, who was not related to Ryan Doyle. Just, yeah, so many athletes. And then, of course, David Bell, who, was one of the pioneers of the sport of parkour, watching all these guys. And, yeah, so much inspiration. And then, the Tempest free running athletes and Jesse LaFleur became a massive, massive inspiration for myself, because Jesse LaFleur was not only an incredible athlete, but he was, paving the way for, he was making tutorials, he was making tons of videos, and he was learning how to be a great filmmaker in addition to being a great athlete. And he's a great public speaker, and he started a shoe line for Tempest free running. And so it's just doing so many great things. And yeah, all of them were really, really great role models to look up to.
That's great. And it seems like you said, when they were able to combine a lot of different aspects of getting the word out about the sport, having that public speaking, it takes kind of a well-rounded type of approach in order to promote your sport and also to kind of continue to be involved in it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think the first time I was introduced to parkour, I had never heard the word, and maybe this is the same for many people, is the James Bond film, Casino Royale.
2009, I believe.
Yes.
Cool. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that parkour athlete was Sebastien Foucan, the guy who Daniel Craig was chasing through the construction yard. He is one of the legends
Really?
of the parkour. A lot of people were just like, oh, cool guy doing parkour. Like that's essentially like one of like, that would, if this were skateboarding, like that would have been like Tony Hawk, or like Tony Hawk, like whoever was next in line for skateboarding. Yeah. Like he was still is a massive name in the sport of parkour.
It'd be like for gymnasts, we're watching, so many Simone Biles out there in a film. We're like, oh,
right.
Okay.
Yeah. Like just doing their thing. And that chase scene was awesome. And it was like 8 minutes long too, which is like so cool to have such a spotlight on the sport and shown in such an accurate, like real and true way. Like Sebastien was doing some really, really wicked parkour stuff in that scene. So for like the movie production to give him the time and hopefully like the ability to work all of those things out and to plan cool lines and cool moments, like that's really special. So it's great that you remember that.
Oh,
that means that them taking their time had an impact on you, and you say that you still remember that, which is awesome.
Absolutely. And it was inspiring because it was a whole new type of movement that not only I had never known had really existed in terms of athletic ability, and I was like, this has to be a whole nother world on itself.
Yeah.
And then how they also seamlessly integrated it into the story, that he was able to portray a character and build that story. And it told a story of who Bond was. Because he's like, lots of times he's like, I can't do that.
Right.
But he had to think of a different way.
Yeah.
And that told us who Bond is. Exactly. And he never gave up.
Through their movement, through their choices. And like, that's just storytelling at the end of the day, to see two people confronted with the same problem and try to solve it in different ways.
Yeah. And I love that connection there. And that's what me thinks about what you do is you started out as an athlete and you're bringing that athleticism into storytelling. So tell us a little bit more about the parkour, your competitive nature, and then how did you get the stunt bug? Like what inspired you to want to be a stunt man?
Sure. So to address the first question is it's weird. I've always identified myself as an athlete first. That was the thing that I never had to try as hard at athletics as I did at everything else. I was a natural athlete. I learned quickly. But also like I wasn't so natural that I didn't have to work hard. There were people that were much more naturally gifted than I was that I had to work to keep up with, or that if they weren't working and I was working, I was able to surpass them because they were just, maybe relying on natural talent to keep going. But yeah, I've always been very competitive, and like I said, I did a lot of different stuff. I did track and volleyball and swimming. But when I found parkour when I was 16 years old, it was like, I don't know, it was a feeling that I'd never felt in anything else. Like I was a great runner, I was a good swimmer, volleyball is the most fun team sport I've ever played in my life. But parkour was the first thing that nobody had to tell me to practice. I was obsessed. Like every single day, my best friend and I, Adam, would get home from school and we would look at parkour tutorials and we would go outside and we would try things, and we're filming each other to try to look at the videos to see what we're doing right and what we're doing wrong. And then we're going to gym sessions whenever we could to try to learn tricks as fast as we could. It was like every free brain cell of ours that was not preoccupied went to that. And when that happens, you learn fast. You learn really fast when you just like divert all your extra brain cells in your time towards one specific thing. And it was learning and getting good at parkour. And then this all kind of transitions to like how I got the stunt bug.
Okay.
So we start filming each other just to document like what we look like so we can get visual feedback to see what we need to fix. And then eventually, after doing that for 6 to 9 months, you've got a lot of videos of yourself. You've got a lot of videos of yourself doing like, to us, what was like cool stuff.
Yes.
And so we ended up just compiling all that together and making our first just like YouTube video of just a bunch of clips and whatnot and putting it up on YouTube, mainly just for ourselves as like a documentation for ourselves, almost like a landmark. It's like, this is where we are in our journey at this point in time. So now we have a marker. So then a year from now, we can make another video and we can compare the two. We can see how we've grown. And then a lot of people in our high school saw this video. And then because he was a soccer player and I was a track athlete. And then it was very quickly, the people were like, why why are you doing that? You're a track athlete. You're a soccer player. Why are you guys like jumping over tables during lunchtime? And we looked so stupid in the beginning. We looked so dumb. I go back and I look at these old videos of myself, and you just look like a dumb kid. But where that has led, no one, not even, I never could have predicted where it was going to lead. I just trusted the feeling. Trusted the feeling that I love every second that I'm doing this. You know, maybe other people in high school, they were going to parties or they were going to whatever, staying up late doing maybe not the best activities. And literally, like, we were training parkour every day, every night, just watch tutorials. And after we started to like see ourselves in these videos, you almost start to be able to imagine yourself like in a little movie, because you're looking at it in front of you. You're like, I'm on a screen doing a cool thing. I see cool things on big screens all the time.
Yes.
Whether it's a Spider-Man movie or a Captain, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like, you see cool things and you start to be able to picture that. And it, like, the idea of it doesn't seem so far off. You're like, it's just this, but on a bigger scale. Yeah. Like, let's just keep doing this and see where this leads, see where it goes to. So then I kept training. And then in college, I started meeting filmmakers, like people who wanted to make films, and they needed people on camera in front of their camera. And they reached out to me or whatever. We ended up collaborating, and we would make these videos together, except they really knew what they were doing with cameras. And then you see the videos that they're taking, and like, they do look like action movies. And you're like, oh my God, like we have all these skills. Like, you know how to shoot and edit, and I can perform, and I've got a friend who can, you know, be a parkour athlete with me. Like, we can make this cool action chase scene like we're in a James Bond movie.
Yes. You give yourself an objective.
Completely, right.
Yeah.
There's now a story.
It changes the game.
Completely. Now, then we started becoming storytellers. Like, okay, if we want to make a cool chase scene, why am I chasing you? Like, okay, well, Valentine's Day is around the corner. Why didn't we make a story where I just bought this really nice necklace for my girlfriend, and then you, as the thug or whoever, like, you run by and you snatch the necklace and you run away, and now I've got to do parkour to chase you down, and now we have like a cool excuse essentially to use our skills and what we truly love and are passionate about to tell this fun little action story while I'm chasing you down. And like, that's a real video. It's called Valentine's Day Parkour.
Valentine's Day Parkour.
It's not a good, like, I've learned a lot about filmmaking and acting and performing since then. But like,
I think that's the inspirational thing is when people go to your YouTube channel and they go back to some of your original videos and then follow the progress. that's the journey.
Yes.
And it's inspiring because we're all at that level at some point, and you learn and grow.
Right.
You know, so yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah. But we just kept growing on that. It was just parkour videos. And then it's like, okay, well, if we learn if we learn more skills, learn more performing skills, we can make cooler and bigger videos. And our imagination just like starts running more wild. Like, we could make a movie. Like, we have all the capabilities to just do that ourselves for fun on the weekend. Like, you can just make a movie. That's so cool. Why wouldn't you do that?
Yeah.
And so then, you know, we just started thinking of bigger ideas. And then we're like, okay, well, if we want to do this kind of short film, then I need to go learn how to spin a bow staff. I need to go learn martial arts. So let me go take Taekwondo classes so that we can put together this fun short film, so that we can bring this idea that we have to life. Like, all of it just felt so possible. Mm-hmm. And because it felt possible, like, because we believed that we could do it, we had every like expectation of ourselves to then go and do it, because the belief is there. And if you're not held back by your own like your, I don't know, whether it's self-consciousness or like inhibition, if you're not held back by that, it's like you're on a speed track and you can just go.
Yes.
And it just kept leading to learning more skills, learning how to fight, learning how to throw punches. The videos that we were making were going like semi-viral online. A lot of people started to know who I was, like on my college campus. I started doing interviews with like the Washington Post, or like the college newspaper like interviewed me, and which is so cool. Like, they put me on the front page of the newspaper, and I literally still have that, have it up on my room, because
that's
like
so great.
That was such a special moment for me, is because like, I want to do big and great things. I believe most people want to do that. Like, no one's really here to just like, I just want to be normal. Like, that's boring.
You want to leave an impact.
Right. Whether it's to inspire others or to create something that can help others or bring value or whatever it is. But just like, that was a really cool, like check mark along the way. It's like, I think I'm going in the right direction. To have that, like, as bad as it sounds, like external validation, you know, is a clue for like the direction that you're heading in. It
was a mile marker to be like, okay, I've made that goal.
Right.
And then you keep that present so that you see it to remind you.
It's evidence.
To stay on target.
Right, exactly.
Stay on target.
Wait, is that from Star Wars?
Stay on target. Stay on target. Look, you turned off your camera.
Right. Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's great. For all you Star Wars nerds out there, we're big Star Wars nerds.
Oh, huge.
Yeah, but so after, you know, and all of that was just, I don't know exactly how my brain is wired compared to other people, but I have always had a large amount of like self-belief. Like, I believe I can do great things if you put in the time and the work and the energy and the focus. But like, I never once doubted my ability to do these things. And whether that's because I had an incredibly supportive family that, you know, had the ability to be like, oh, I want to do volleyball, and then to sign me up for volleyball, and then to come to my volleyball games and cheer me on, or my soccer games. Like, especially my mother, she's been like, I mean, I can't imagine what my life would be like, or the person I would be, without the incredible love and support of everyone, but specifically my mother, and like what that has done for me. And I don't know, and it's hard to imagine what other people who don't have that, and what that could do to whether it's your self-belief, whether it's your ambitions or your goals, whatever it may be. But because I've always had that self-belief, all of these things of learning these skills, just essentially like saying, I want to learn this thing, thus I'm going to practice this thing, and then you learn the thing. It's very simple. It's like X equals Y. You put in time and work, you will learn the thing.
Yes.
And then once you get that feedback, you pretty much are presented with a formula. It's like, hey, you can do anything you want if you put in the time and the energy and the work to do it, which is an amazing formula. That's how anybody does anything, is they figure out like, oh, I am capable of learning. So this is why when anybody comes to me and they say, oh, I could never do parkour, I will like, I don't hit people, but I will verbally slap you across the face, because anybody can, but you can't if you say that you can't.
If you say that you can't.
That's it.
You got to put your mind in there.
That's it. All it is just taking the first step. Everything has its basics. Everything has its foundations that every single person can do. If you've got 2 legs and 2 arms, then you can do parkour. So don't let me hear you say I can't do parkour.
Yeah. Omar will come shaking a finger at you.
I will hear it. I will wake up at night.
He will hunt you down.
I will find you.
Now we're turning into Liam Neeson and Taken. I have a certain...
Yes. I will find you. I'm carrying on. But so being presented with that formula of, oh, I can learn things that I put time into, and then creating these videos that people were seeing and being inspired by and being entertained by, and then getting interviews from these things I was doing. Like, the skills were leading to the videos were leading to interviews and other great opportunities. And then local filmmakers are like, hey, we're doing a small commercial. Why, like, can you come be in our commercial? And that's like a thing that happened when I wasn't really trying to do that. And all of that was happening when I was still in college, when 50% of my time was dedicated to college, and the other 50% was parkour and movement and video making and everything else that was leading to. And all these great things were happening at 50% of dedication. And I'm going, man, again, this self-belief, what's possible if I put everything,
110%,
everything behind that? So I had a conversation with my mother and my stepdad at the time. And I go, I think I'd like to at least take a gap year off of college. This was after my sophomore year. I go, I think I'd like to put 110% behind this path. And whereas I believe like most families, most adults, most parents like would probably be terrified if their child came to them and was like, "Hi, mom. Hi, dad. I want to stop doing college to go jump off of buildings." They'd be like, "I'm sorry. I love you, but no, this is in your best interest. I'm going to like, you need to stay in school. Like, that's great. Keep doing that stuff. But I really think you should stay in school."
Yeah.
And I don't know, my mom and my stepdad, they were like, I don't know whether it's because of the life that they had seen me lead up until that point.
Right. Yes.
That like created essentially evidence that
the confidence that they knew
right.
you're taking this seriously. You have a singular focus.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But they gave me the green light and said, "Okay, you can take a gap year.
They believed in you.
But you're not allowed to sleep in." I go, "Cool. Like I have no plans of sleeping in." And so then I literally diverted all of my energy towards learning skills, making videos, and then whatever else that led to. That's when I started competing in parkour. So I was making YouTube videos every week, from tutorials to dressing up as Spider-Man to dressing up as Power Rangers to making more like fun action short films with friends. Yeah. To then, like, I traveled to Greece to compete in a competition. I traveled to Sweden to compete in a competition. I traveled I competed in a competition in Washington, D.C. near where I was living. So I was just doing everything, like just training, videos, traveling, training, videos, traveling. And eventually I realized I was never going back to college. Mm-hmm. It was like everything was working out. I got my first sponsor with WFPF, World Freerunning and Parkour Federation, which was another, like, again, validation. It was like, hey, you're doing things people are noticing. Mm-hmm. People see value in you. Mm-hmm. They see value in what you're doing, and you're getting rewarded for this belief that you have in yourself and taking action based on that belief. And then that's when I set my sights on Hollywood. And because I again, the belief was there. It was like, I think I can go to Hollywood and quote unquote make it, as in like go to Hollywood and not become a starving artist and die and then have to leave. And I'm still young. Who knows what the future will bring? But I ended up, saving money because I was teaching parkour lessons. I was working at a restaurant. I had worked as a lifeguard. I'd worked as a guitar instructor, all of that to just save money to eventually move to Los Angeles, to then hit the ground running and do all the LA things. And I realized I had unintentionally kind of developed a good foundation to become a stuntman. Mm-hmm. I had a great parkour skill set. I had gymnastics, ish skill set. I could tumble. I could do flips and tricks. Mm-hmm. I could, do weapons and prop manipulation. I had very above average coordination and movement background. Mm-hmm. And then the belief that anything I wanted to learn, I could.
Yes.
With training and practice. Right. And so that's kind of what started pointing me in the direction of stunts in Hollywood.
I think that's fantastic because you had a singular focus, and that singular focus sums up how you learn new skills. And I actually recently watched again your How I Made It in Hollywood as a stuntman.
Thank you so much.
So I recommend everyone check it out. It's great because it shows your dedication, but it shows the failures and it shows that you don't give up. But it also showed that you had a plan.
Yes.
And everything was educated. It wasn't on a whim. You had belief, but you had to substantiate that belief with logic.
Yes.
And that's what I loved. And you had a step by step, and you just were very unrelenting in the pursuit of that. And so I highly recommend watching that. It's fantastic.
Yeah. It's called How I Broke into Hollywood, and it's essentially like a very documented, in detailed, like step-by-step process of the things that I did to try to solidify myself in the industry, just because it is such a mystery box.
It is. Like, what's the formula?
Right. There is no formula. None. Like every single person that quote unquote like gets into Hollywood does it in a slightly different way. But most people, like, you could talk to them one-on-one personally, and they could tell you their story, but there's not really very many like documented journeys of like, this is what I did, this is where I went, this is who I met, this is the classes that I took. And like, I am still very, very new in my journey, but I've gotten to the point that, I've worked great jobs, I've worked for great people. I have, made good amount of money doing this already. And I get a lot of questions from people about what is the union? Like, where should I go to learn stunts? Like, how do I even do that?
Mm-hmm.
That I felt that it could help a lot of people to just at least give them a starting point
Yes.
and it's not me telling anybody what to do, because again, everybody's journey is going to be completely different.
Right.
It's just a documentation of like my journey up until this point.
Yes.
So it's called How I Broke Into Hollywood. I'm trying to remember what
It was great, and it was highly logical.
Yes, logical.
Yes.
That's a very, very good point. What is this?
Live long and prosper.
Oh, is that Star Trek? Yeah, I don't know Star Trek very well. I know this.
Okay. Yeah.
I am logical to a fault.
Mm.
Like, a lot of people don't like how logical I am, but I don't like to leave things up to chance or to emotions. And that's why I set so many like baselines and prerequisites. Like,
major boundaries.
I need to do this before I do this. I have to do this before this, because this will lead to this. And if I skip steps, then it becomes more up in the air. Like saving a certain amount of money before I move to Los Angeles so that I have at least 6 months of money covered so that I can focus on X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I'm very, very logical and very calculating, and that it has done really good things for me. But I also know that there are very like emotional, more like people that do things on a whim that have also succeeded in great ways. So like, there is no right or wrong answer, but I know that I am not comfortable without really, really working and planning things out ahead of time, so that I've taken into account every variable to leave as little up to chance as possible.
Mm-hmm. It's very a scientific approach.
Yeah.
It actually is. It is. And
math was my favorite subject in school.
Really? Oh my gosh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, except for like PE and guitar. Like physical fitness, like you mean I get a run? Like, everybody like hated PE. I was like, I love running. I'll do sit-ups all day. Yeah.
It's awesome. But what I loved about that video is how you broke into Hollywood too, is what I've seen with a lot of your content, is that you have a singular focus. You have a belief in yourself. You set yourself a task. I want to learn this. And you divert all focus into that, but you make it happen.
Yeah.
And I think lots of times what happens in the stunt industry is, we was like, I want to be a stunt man. I want to be a stunt woman. And then I was like, I need to learn this and this and this and this. And you kind of get yourself spread out so far that there's an old saying, jack of all trades, but a master of none.
Right.
You have to master something. And yes, by mastering one thing, then that can lead to the next.
That's like a springboard.
And that's a springboard. Yeah. And then you can start mastering other things. And I think what happens is we get so involved in the chase that we lose the focus of the chase and how to get to the goal. We're chasing that dream, but we've lost how do we chase it.
Right.
And you have to go back to what is the passion that fuels it? What is your thing? And like you said, it started with parkour and it gave you that belief. And then you take that and you're like, okay, I want to learn bow staff.
Yeah.
And then he has this amazing video, Donatello Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which I have a beef to pick with you.
Sure. Oh, is that not your favorite turtle?
I'm a Michelangelo.
Oh!
There it is. There's the face.
And ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining.
That has been
Thank you for having me. I rescind. Okay.
But I loved it. So it was great because you taught yourself bow staff and you diverted all your energy into that and you set that goal. But now you've got that skill in your pocket. And it's not about, I'm going to learn this a little bit and then I'll go train this. Focus on one thing, do it well, do it to the best of your ability, set a goal for yourself. And then you've got that. And then you keep going. And then the opportunities come. Because I think sometimes if we get chasing and grabbing, we're going to slip and miss the opportunities, and we're not going to have that skill completely developed if an opportunity does come up.
Right. Yeah. And I would definitely consider myself like not jack of all trades, but definitely like I haven't mastered anything. I haven't even mastered parkour. There are parkour athletes that are much, much better than me, but I like to hit like a baseline level of proficiency in a certain thing to the point that's like, okay, like, now, if I need whatever, if it's I get a job that is going to build on this skill set, I have met a minimum threshold requirement that I can learn more in this skill set because I've created this foundation And there's always, that's the great thing about stunts. Like there's always more to learn. Like you could always put more time into, if it's like video games, like into this skill tree or this skill tree, whether it's martial arts or parkour or stunt driving. And like every person gets to, they get their skill points and they get to choose like whether they put their skill points into driving or horseback riding or parkour or whatever it is. And then, that's what makes us all unique and individual is how we choose to allocate those skill points. But yeah, for me, I find it's very important to have strong baselines across the board. And so like something I would love to do next is get like a really strong baseline of firearms, like something that a lot of other people already have. And I've taken like great classes, but I still know that like I could teach someone bow staff. I could give them a really, really strong foundation of like, this is how you manipulate the prop. This is this type of spin. This is this type of throw. But like I could teach parkour. I did teach parkour for many, many years, but like I know that I'm not at my baseline of firearms proficiency because I can't teach it. I would be like, you want someone to teach you this, like X, Y, or Z? That's not me. So like that to me would be like, that's when you're at a baseline, when you can help someone new and give them strong, confident, foundational, fundamental, like core principles of this skill. And then, they can take it from there.
Would you give that advice perhaps for stunt performers up and coming? Like, what do we put on our resume? There's always this push to have a full resume and have as much on there as possible, but that can be misleading sometimes because people can put something on there that they did once or they did a while ago.
Yeah.
Is that old? Is that new? How can you do it right now? What would you give stunt performers as far as advice on what do you determine is worthy enough to put on your resume as a skill set?
As cutthroat as this sounds, you don't want to put a skill on your resume if you could not imagine yourself being hired by a high-level stunt coordinator and then being asked to perform that on the spot at any time of day, in any weather condition, in any wardrobe, whether you're in 3 layers of black leather clothing at 3 a.m. on wet concrete, and you've been on set for 18 hours, so you haven't slept, in front of the whole set, 100 people, and they are waiting for you to get it right, to be able to do it for this specific camera angle with a horse flying by you on the left and a car driving behind you on the right, knowing that if you mess up too many times, you will get fired and that person will never call you again. Like if you don't feel that confident about the skills that are on your resume, it should not be on your resume. So like, yeah, it should be that cutthroat because that is the reality of the situation is other people are depending on your truth. Like you being transparent and crystal clear and accurate about who you are and the skills that you can provide and the situations that you can provide those skills in. Like, that's it. Yeah.
You're not just being hired for your skill. You're being hired for your truth.
You don't want to trick someone to hire you. You want to be hired to do something that you feel so comfortable doing that you're not worried in the slightest when they ask you to do a medium skill when you're an expert. That's where you want to be. You don't want to be a beginner and asked to perform a hard level skill because then you're either going to hurt yourself, you're going to hurt someone else, you're going to cost the production time and money, or worst of all, you're going to damage your own reputation, which is the hardest thing in the world to fix. Yeah.
So you want quality over
quantity. Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And that's like what you said about like, it's good to master one skill because like as bad as it is, people, they do, and they need to categorize people. They go, who are you? What do you do? Like, okay, you're a horseback rider. It's like, but I can do other stuff. It's like, okay, that's fine. But like, I need to put you in a slot somewhere. Because if I don't categorize anybody, then it's just a massive pool of random things. So it's like, what are you? And then like, once you can establish yourself as this thing, like you said earlier, then you can start to branch out and kind of knock down some walls. And now it's like, okay, well now you're the stunt actress, horseback rider who can also deliver lines on camera because now this coordinator trusted you to give you lines or to give you an audition here. And so like, I was originally very against being like, pigeonholed is the wrong word, but like categorized. It's like, no, I don't want to just be a parkour athlete. But then you realize like, that's how you get in. You have to be like a razor. And then once you push the razor into Hollywood, the Hollywood world, then you can start to like expand the razor because it's a lot easier to like insert that. Like, this is exactly what I am, and then you can branch out from there. So now I'm like, yes, categorize me, put me in, like, pigeonhole me, because now my competition is much less. Like, okay, we need a parkour athlete that can fight and also act. It's like, okay, that's a small pool.
Yes.
I like, let's compete in that pool. That's a great pool. Rather than like, I'm an actor. So are 4 million other people. Million.
Yes.
Million.
Yes. And then you sit back and you're like, why am I not working? Why am I
exactly.
Yeah.
Right. Too broad, too general.
You have to have your specific skill that when people think, they're like, oh,
this person. Exactly.
Yeah.
Branding.
Do you feel that that's what brought you into, I believe you got to play Spider-Man at some point?
So to make the story very clear.
Yes.
So
He's just a cool character.
Yes.
It's like, it must have been a dream. Like, you're parkour and you're like Spidey.
Right. So I've made a lot of like YouTube videos dressed up as Spider-Man, because like, what person that does flips was not inspired by Spider-Man? And then what ended up happening was they were making the Spider-Man No Way Home movie, and they'd already filmed the movie. They'd already done principal photography, and they needed someone to double Andrew Garfield for 2 days, and his normal doubles were unavailable at that time, and Andrew Garfield was unavailable. He was probably working on another movie, I believe. And so the coordinator found my profiles online and, saw my acting reel and my stunt reel, and figured that I was, again, capable enough based on the skills that I demonstrated and the, my resume that I put up and my headshots and just the quality of the content that I had put forward to offer me. It was just 2 days of it was on a stunt doubling contract. I didn't end up doing any stunts for the movie. It was just reshoots. A lot of it was just acting. So I got to like stand next to Tom Holland and Tobey Maguire and then Benedict Cumberbatch, who's playing Doctor Strange. And I was literally delivering one line, but they needed someone who was the same body type, who was the same size, that could be trusted with like, hey, we might do some dialogue that day. We might do some movement. We might do we could kind of need a person that could do anything, but also might not do anything.
Yes.
So I felt incredibly honored to have been trusted with that. And the coordinator let me know. He's like, hey, by the way, we're not doing anything cool. He's like, you're not doing any wire work. We're not doing any fight scenes. He goes, we've already filmed all that. He goes, we're just getting a couple pieces here and there. But I think that, you can do stunts, but you can also act and portray a character. And so he trusted me enough to do with that. And I just want to make very clear, in the grand, yes, it was an incredible opportunity for me, but it was still 2 days. There were people that worked on that film for 9 or 10 months. So those stunt doubles, they deserve massive amounts of credit, Dave Elson and William Spencer and Luke Scott and Greg Townsley, all these guys, they are the doubles for Spider-Man. I was made more of a body double than anything else, but to still be trusted with that, and then to delivering dialogue to Benedict Cumberbatch was
what was that like?
It was terrifying.
I'm a what they call it, cumber snatch. I'm like, oh,
yeah,
yes. I am Sherlocked. So
yes, yeah.
Knows what that. Yes. So what was that like?
It was like a dream to be in Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man suit and to look down and to see the logo. Not logo, what's the word?
His emblem.
Emblem, thank you, the emblem. To see his emblem, and then to look to my right and see Tom Holland in his Spider-Man costume, and then Tobey Maguire, the Spider-Man that I grew up with, who's the guy that inspired me to be super, to be this great character. To have him on the same platform as me, man, you're trying to act so cool and calm and casual and professional, and obviously it wears off quickly, because then you're like, okay, cool, I'm a professional, they're professional,
they're just doing their job,
we're here to do the job, let's do the job. But in those beginning minutes, it's just I could never ever have predicted this, and all of that came from very early on. Is just having this belief that great things can happen if I trust this and I work hard. Period. That's if I trust my instincts and I work for what I believe is possible. It was so cool. But yeah, delivering dialogue, and when I say dialogue, it was one line. I delivered one line, which actually was, I would have rather have had a paragraph, because this one line, I overthought this
what
thing.
What context? What's my moment before? My moment after? Where am I coming
And
from?
here's the thing, I wasn't.
You want to match whatever they're going to edit.
Exactly. Luckily, they showed us they were able to show us the scene that they'd already filmed,
Sure.
so we had context going into it and the general like tone and the mood of the scene. But once I gotten in the costume in the trailer, I was just waiting to be called to set, and then they come in and they go, "Hey, Omar, here are your sides. Sides are your lines of dialogue." And I go, "Sides? Like, I don't have any sides." And they go, "Oh, I think you've got some lines on page 3 or whatever." And so I like snatch the script and I flip to page 3, and I see that Andrew Garfield's character, which is me for the day, has one line, and I still remember the line.
Oh.
The line
Yes.
is, "Yeah, seems like a strange time to take a vacation."
Oh.
That was the line. And it's like, okay, I could say that a million different ways. I could say that like very accusatory, like, "Yeah, seems like a strange time to take a vacation."
Yeah.
Or it's like, or you could see it more pondering. And so I'm just pacing around my trailer.
And the fact that you're going to say it to Benedict Cumberbatch.
Right. When and I'm still early on in my Hollywood journey.
Yeah.
And like that was a big deal, and he's a massive A-list celebrity, and he is again like a very great actor. He is an actor.
He's a thespian.
And I ended up way overthinking it. We get on set and I end up being able to deliver it because the guy who hired me looked into me and decided that I was capable of doing the job that they needed.
Mm-hmm.
And he was right. I was capable of doing the job that they needed. But yeah, we pretty much just like did that for a day and a half, and then I got to do some like very small and light movement stuff that did not end up making the final cut, which like that would have been really cool.
Yeah.
So I'm like you won't even see me in the movie at all. I'm not in the credits. I'm not in the movie, but the experience is there.
Yes.
The trust that I received was there, and just the memory of me looking down and seeing
Spider-Man.
seeing that emblem was, if we're talking about like landmarks and like checkpoints along the way to just like encourage you and remind you that you're doing the right things, like that was a massive like check.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. And as you continue to reach towards those other goals and future goals, tell us a little bit about World Chase Tag.
Chase Tag.
Because you are still, while you are pursuing your Hollywood dream, you are still very involved in your sport of parkour. So this is a growing sport.
It
combines parkour as an equestrian. I've enjoyed watching a lot of your training videos. It reminds me a lot for eventer riders. It's a lot like cross country. So tell us, listeners, a little bit about World Chase Tag Athlete, and then how is the sport growing, and how can we help the sport continue to grow and bring awareness for it?
Sure. So World Chase Tag is what I've been doing. I've been a part of a World Chase Tag team called Hollywood Freerunner for the past 3 years now. I've been one of the main competing athletes, and like it's tag, but it happens in a 40 by 40 foot square that is littered with obstacles. But the obstacles are not soft obstacles like Wipeout. Everything is made of wood and metal. And you take 2 athletes and you plop them down in this square full of, that is littered with obstacles. And you say, "Okay, you're it. You have to tag me. You've got 20 seconds. Go." And it is the most intense, high-speed, fight or flight response, like heart, nervous, scary, primitive sport I've ever done in my life. Like, it is terrifying. It is scary. It is fun. It is fast. It is dynamic. It is incredible. It is addicting.
Yeah, I was just about to say, all that sounds very addicting.
It is addicting to do, and what is so great is it is addicting to watch in like a great way, because parkour as a sport, like, they have been trying to make a competition style that would break out of the parkour niche and appeal to the mainstream audience. They have done so many different types of competitions, from speed courses where people are running parkour obstacle courses as fast as they can, or they're doing style competitions where people are doing like the biggest tricks and the coolest flips that they can, like similar to a skateboarding like X Games competition. And like, they're cool. They did well, I think, maybe. But it wasn't until World Chase Tag came along that it has broken 100% into the mainstream. It has now been on NBCSN. It has now been on ESPN. multiple times. It has been on ESPN too, which is just like incredible to have been a part of this growing sport. I believe it began in 2016, and then I did my first competition. It started in the UK, and then over those couple of years grew in the UK a little bit. That started getting off the ground because it literally started in two guys' backyard.
Really?
They had a kid, and they were like, we want to play tag with this kid.
Mm-hmm.
And so they just built some obstacles and then started playing tag. And then like their friends would come over and then they would play tag. And then like they would create more obstacles and like make it more of like a course. And now there's more objects in between you and your person. And then more people would start playing. And then it's like, okay, this thing is like, everybody loves this. Yeah. Everybody loves tag. And that's what's so great about World Chase Tag is everybody can immediately like viscerally connect to what it feels like to chase after someone or to be chased by another person.
Yes, it's a very primitive, it's a very primal,
it is.
Like you said, survival instinct triggers something in everyone.
Yeah. And so it grew in the UK, and then it came over to the US in 2020. So that's when I first became a part of it. And I did my first competition then, and then our team got second place. And then we did another competition a year later, and our team got second place again. And we're like, oh, we want to,
so close.
We want to get that W. And the team that we lost to the first year was also the same team. We lost to them in the finals again the following year. But then we ended up going to the World Championships in London, and then we competed and we performed there. And now we just had a US competition 5 months ago where we got third place, and then like now we're getting prize money because of how we're placing these competitions. And now we have the Pan American Championships, which is, it's a week from today. I don't know when this goes live, but it's going to be March 3rd through the March 5th. And that's going to be a 3-day competition where the top 4 teams of that will go compete in the World Championships again. But it's just like the growth of this sport has been insane to watch from just the time that I've been a part of it, from 2020 to 2023. Now, this will be my 5th competition. The game is transformed. It is chess. It is chess with your bodies at full speed, surrounded by wood and metal. And it used to be a game where, like, if you're running away from me, like, you could make a small mistake, you could trip and fall, you could turn left when you should have turned right, and you could still get away because the athletes weren't at a high enough level to punish you for making a mistake. But now it is at the point that it is like chess. Like, if you make one mistake, I take your king, and I will win because you slipped up for a millisecond. It is a game of fingertips. People like are just touching clothing now, which is part of, like, that counts. If they touch your shirt, if they touch your hair, so everyone's putting their hair up. Really, my hair got tagged in 2021, I believe, or 2020. My hair got tagged because I used to have longer hair. Yes, and it was like, that sucked. It was like, he didn't touch me, but he touched my hair, and that counted. Just that inch. And so it is now a game of errors, and to have to train on that level as a pro level athlete, training for this sport of
how
milliseconds.
Do you train for that?
You do everything from your standard physical fitness conditioning, which is just like building up your stamina and your leg strength so that you can run and jump. You have incredible explosiveness to accelerate quickly, also pivoting and cutting and juking so that you can change directions very quickly. So that's going to be having the strength to stop yourself and then cut back and push off. Speed training, which can come through just sprinting to doing weighted squat jumping, just to increase your just everything. Speed, stamina, strength, all that. And then you start doing World Chase Tag specific training, which is where you get on the actual course and you're practicing certain maneuvers to get into. Essentially, because it's a square, there are 4 corners on the course. And usually that's where people get tagged, is in the corners. Because you, as the chaser, you get them cornered. You're trying to box them into a corner, and then you're trying to tag them. And so in every corner is different. There are different obstacles in each corner. So the way that you have to maneuver in these corners is different depending on the corner that you're in. And there's specific moves, essentially like chess, like different chess moves that you as the player can do to like make it more probable that you will tag a person in this situation. But for every move that I do, every chess move that I do, you have a counter chess move that you have practiced as well. So it's just this rapid fire of like instantaneous chess that is happening. It's like you do move 1, but then I counter it with move 3, but then you counter the counter with movement 2, and then you get away because I wasn't anticipating that. Or maybe I try to bait your counter 3 by doing whatever XYZ, but then you don't fall for it or whatever. It is now at this stage where it is physical chess. It is physical chess. You have to have the capability to maneuver around this course at full speed. You are running on rails. You are running on thin wooden platforms at full tilt with you have the necessity to be able to stop on a dime at any point on the course, turn around, sprint the other direction, dive out of the way, jump over obstacles, jump through gaps of metal railings to tag someone on the other side because they're running by. So you hurl yourself through these bars to get them. It is crazy. It is crazy. And so it's every type of training that you can imagine, just learning to know the course, know the environment, to trust your feet, to be able to run on thin railings at full speed, knowing that if you fall, it's not going to be fun and it's not going to be pretty. Mm-hmm. But that's just the level that the sport is at now, which is, it's so cool to have seen it grow over these years and to still be a part of it, competing on a very high level team in like the highest stage that this sport currently exists at.
That's fantastic. And I think it takes a lot of stabilizing muscles and everything. And like you said, whole body muscles. And to be able to do something that fast, you have to condition those muscles. And that kind of leads me to the next thing that I believe you just finished a 30-day dance challenge you put yourself on.
I did.
I danced with the Cincinnati Ballet. So
no way.
Yes,
oh my gosh.
I was like, stuntman that went dancing. Yo, cool. I got to about this.
That's awesome.
But tell us, what inspired you to want to do that? Sure. Again, you put yourself on a singular focus. Mm-hmm. And how do you feel that has benefited your body as you are preparing for this upcoming competition?
So, yes, I've never done dance. I've never really done expressive movement. Pretty much everything that I've done, every sport that I've done has been technical movement, like track, run around the circle, run fast. Okay, then you get into parkour, which is like, okay, do a backflip, or free running or gymnastics, do a backflip. Yes, there are expressive elements to gymnastics and parkour. I never really excelled at the creative aspect of movement. Mm-hmm. I was very technical, like I mentioned earlier. I've always been a very logical, calculating person. That has affected how I move, which means that I'm very good at technical movements. Like, okay, throw a punch, do a block, do a cartwheel, whatever it is. But I'm realizing that like there's a limit to that. There's been the wanting to do more creative, expressive movement, but that's when you have to expose yourself to judgment from other people, because now you're putting your personality in your movement out there. You're not just doing a punch where people can critique your form, but they're not critiquing you because it is a technical movement.
Right.
It's not
objective versus subjective.
That. Mm-hmm. Now, something like dance, something like ballet, something like, other expressive movements. There are, expressive martial arts forms, which again is not something that I've done, but which does exist out there. Or singing. Singing is expressive, where you are vulnerable. You are presenting your soul forward to other people to look at and to judge, which is terrifying. And I realize that that's why I haven't done expressive movement, is because I'm afraid. I'm afraid of judgment of other people, of their opinions of myself, thinking I'm not good enough, I'm not talented enough, I'm not attractive enough, I shouldn't be doing that, laughing at me, whatever it is. I'm afraid of that. And I've been, reading a lot of books and listening to a lot of podcasts and this isn't a novel concept, but it's just like not letting fear hold you back, period. Like that simple. And knowing that, like, I believe that we are all living in a box. We are all living in a cage. But we get to choose the size of that cage. Mm-hmm. The smaller your cage is, I believe, like, the less you're expressing yourself, the less you're pursuing your goals and your dreams, the less you're reaching for more, the less you are being ambitious, the less self-belief you have. You're in a cage that, like, society has packed you in. It's like, this is who you are. Mm-hmm. This is what you do. Don't do that. Mm-hmm. Don't dance. don't sing, don't ride horses. Why are you doing that? No, you should go work at the desk over there because that's what you do, right? That's who you are. And then if you start to believe that about yourself because the world has put that on you, that's tough.
Yeah.
That is tough to
break that internalization.
To break out of.
Yeah.
Because it's very easy to let that happen. Because I believe like that's what societal pressure does. It is, I believe, unintentionally societal pressure that we all live in. This is getting very
existential.
Yes. But it is very real.
It
is trying to, like I said, like to categorize people.
It's important because it's this existential, these demons are the ones that we fight, all of us, every day, and no matter what we do. And it can affect whether, you feel energized enough to get out of bed and to go for your dream, or whether you're just going to beat yourself down and just stay under the covers and just disappear. And just wait for life to pass you by, an opportunity to pass you by. So it takes courage to throw the covers off, get out of bed and do it. That. Mm-hmm. And while I believe I've always been really good about actively pushing against these walls that I believe that like society is trying to box me in to say, hey, don't do that. Don't do that. You should do this instead. Don't move to Hollywood. Why would you move to Hollywood? Like, okay, well, you can move to Hollywood, but just do parkour. Don't start acting. Don't start learning stunts because you're a parkour athlete. That's what you do. But it's not until you are, again, actively pushing against these walls to make your cage bigger and bigger, to hopefully not live in a cage at all, to not be held back by judgments or opinions of others or self-consciousness or self-doubt, to the point that you are acting in accordance with what you want to do and who you want to be, period, the end of story. Like, that's it. Like, I'm not thinking about you. I'm not thinking about what my mother's going to think, or my ex-boyfriend or my ex-girlfriend is going to think, or my father, whatever. It's like, I'm doing this because I want to. I'm doing this because I love this. I'm doing this because this is going to help me grow as a person. And to me, that's what dance was, this 30-day dance challenge that I did, I was afraid of that. I've never done, again, expressive movement. And by continuing to not do that, that is one of those walls of that box, of that cage that I was not pushing on, was letting the judgments and opinions of other people that no one has expressed, by the way. These are just opinions that I create in my own head, of people that I want approval from, people that I want acceptance or respect from, that I go, that I need to be the person that they want me to be in order to garner their respect and their approval and whatever. So then sometimes the voice of what you think, people ask, did someone actually say that to you? Or are you imagining that they said that to you? Or are you saying that? You're saying that for them. Yes. Right. But sometimes that voice becomes one. Yes. And it's hard to separate that. Yes. And there was a time where I was living big parts of my life based off of getting the opinions and validations from people who, when I really thought about it, it didn't matter. It's not important. Like I was valuing other people's opinions of myself more than my own opinion of myself. It's good to get feedback. If someone's like, hey, you're a mean person, and you get 10 people that say that to you, it's like, okay, well, maybe you should listen because you just got the same response from 10 different people. Like, okay, let's do some internal reflection and try to learn and grow from that. But if no one is saying anything and you're valuing other people's opinions or your perception of their opinions more than your own belief in your own compass, like that's when you can start to that's when I was like starting to get more depressed. Like I didn't feel as happy because I could feel that I wasn't living my compass. I wasn't doing what I wanted to do, who I wanted to become, because I was living in a box that someone was creating for me. And so then I started to realize that I needed to really find my internal compass and follow my instinct, because like my instinct is what got me to Hollywood in the first place. My instinct is what built up the skill set that I have, is the belief in myself and my compass, and just continue to trust that. And I don't know, this compass just told me that I needed to start dancing. Yes. That I needed to express myself, because that was going to be pushing another fear barrier, pushing that back. And then the more fear barriers you push through, then that it's everything, you get better at everything through practice and repetition, whether it's a skill
or whether it's through pushing through discomfort and doing hard things. Dancing in those first couple classes was so scary. It was so scary. You walk into a class with 50 other dancers. They are dancers. And then they are with their dance teacher. And they've been in this class for a year and a half. And everybody knows the warm-up. Everybody knows each other's names. Everybody is just like, they know what's going on. And they can do every drill. They can do every exercise. And, left foot, right foot, whatever it may be.
You sit them watch mark a combination and they're going, bum, 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 bum,
right,
bum, bum,
right.
bum, double, 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 bum, bum, and you're going,
right. And you feel such a spotlight on yourself, and you feel like your chest tightens, and you go, I shouldn't be here. I'm afraid. I'm scared of judgment, of opinions of other people, or whatever. And then it's like, when I found that to me is now I am changing my perception of that feeling. That used to be a negative feeling. It's like, I'm in a situation where I'm uncomfortable. I need to leave so I can be safe.
Right.
So I can be comfortable. But that is not how you grow as a person, is by being safe and comfortable. Physically safe, yes. Like we're talking like actual safety.
Yes.
But like vulnerability, pushing through discomfort and fear and anxiety, that to me is now, when I feel that feeling, I'm like, cool. I'm in the right place because I'm afraid of being here, which means I have to learn and grow as a person to become comfortable in this environment. And now, by the end of those 30 days, I felt so comfortable going to dance class. I felt so good. I was saying hi to people. I was like expressing myself in front of the mirror when other people were just stretching. I was literally dancing in front of other people, strangers, which I would never ever do literally 1 month ago. And to see the transformation that happens from just feeling this fear and just going like, and throwing myself forward into that. And it's like, that's why I did that, is to tackle fear, to tackle anxiety, and to just keep, like, I'm almost searching for things that I'm afraid of now. To be like, if I'm afraid of that, I need to do that, because fear will keep me in a box. Anxiety, putting other people's opinions above my own opinions, that's going to keep me in a box. So I'm like a shark, like smelling that out. And if I find it, I'm trying to dive into that. So all in all, like, that's why I did this 30-day dance challenge.
That's fantastic. I love that. Wrapping up and moving forward, what is the next challenge that you see yourself attacking? What can we look forward to see from Omar Zaki? What is a dream stunt that you'd like to do?
I would love to get hired to do, like, I almost got hired to do a really big parkour stunt acting job for a TV show, which congrats to whoever got it. I don't know who got it yet, but like, congrats to you. I'm so stoked to see it. But like, I would love to do a parkour stunt acting scene, whether that's something I get hired to do or something I make myself. I make an action, like an actual movie with people. I get funding. I write a script. I'm one of the lead actors and create a cool story around parkour and action, just to like really be the culmination of my skills, my physical skills and my creative skills and my collaboration skills to work with other people. Like, that would be awesome. But in general, the goal is to do hard things, things that will make me grow. So maybe that's a 30-day dance challenge. Maybe that is, like, I don't know, trying to put on 20 pounds of muscle in 3 months because I've always wanted to bulk up in size. And it's like, okay, well, how do you take your words and put them into actions? It's like, well, you do it by setting goals and following through on your tasks and creating specific targets. But I'm going to be continuing to develop more skills, to continuing to develop stronger relationships with people, to become a more, reliable and valuable, whether it's performer, filmmaker, collaborator, whatever it may be, just knowledgeable about the art of filmmaking and storytelling. And so whenever I'm not working, I'm making my own YouTube videos, because that is how I practice my craft of storytelling and understanding, like, how to connect with an audience, to tell a good story, to inspire someone, to give value to someone. Like, at some point, I would love to create an online course. What that course would be about, I don't know yet. I believe I have to become more valuable and like more knowledgeable as a person to provide great amounts of value to another person such that like they can actually benefit from the experiences and the knowledge and the information that I have. Like that's something that I could see myself doing. I would love to get into public speaking because I'm terrified of like, okay, TED Talk, like not that I'm like worthy of like doing a TED Talk yet, but like that would be horrifying. It's like, hey, Omar, you've got to write and memorize a 20-minute speech that's gonna, you're gonna deliver to thousands of people. That's gonna then live on the internet forever. Like that would be super scary, which means I should do that.
Love it.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's just continuing to grow physically and mentally and like nail down personal habits of planning out your weeks, planning out specific goals and tasks that you're going to accomplish every week such that you are constantly pushing the needle forward. Like you have your targets in mind of where I'm going as a stunt performer, where I'm going as a YouTuber, where I'm going as a person, as a speaker, as a world chase tag athlete, and then constantly taking documentable, actionable steps that take steps in the direction of those targets.
We love that. Absolutely love that, Omar. So now we look forward to, as audiences, to watch you grow, to see like, okay, what did Omar wake up with as a fear today?
Yeah.
And what is he challenging himself, and what is he going to overcome?
Yeah.
And I know for myself that I am super excited to watch you do that and watch you grow and continue to reach those challenges and dreams. And thank you so much for this amazing, contagious energy and inspiration that you believe you can do it. You can do it. Yeah. But the belief has to come in the heart, and then to believe in the work that you put into it.
Right. I like, as final words, like I only think I've got, again, I don't believe I'm special. I don't believe anybody is special. Anybody at all is I can't remember exactly where I heard. I believe I heard this from Alex Ramosi. If you don't know who Alex Ramosi is, he is an incredible entrepreneur and public speaker, and he is insanely successful in every description of the word successful. And he breaks it down into your life is determined by the actions that you take. Very simple. You want to become a parkour athlete, you train parkour, you take parkour classes, whatever. You want to become a singer, you want to become an entrepreneur, whatever. You take actions that eventually those actions will lead to that thing. Your life is determined by your actions, but your actions are determined by your beliefs and whether you believe it's possible to begin with, whether you believe you can become a great horseback rider, whether you believe you can become a public speaker or a great business owner or a singer or a parkour athlete or an actress or whatever. Is your beliefs determine your actions, and your actions determine your life, which means that if you skip the middle part, it means your beliefs determine your life. That's it. Period. Because your actions are predicated on your belief. Mm-hmm. And so like if that's the case, then whatever you believe about yourself, you're right. But it also means that you can change that at any time. At any time. If you don't believe that you can become great at whatever it is, you're correct until you decide to change your belief. And that you can make that decision on a heartbeat, because once you believe that you can become a great singer, a great public speaker, a YouTuber, an athlete, whatever, then you will begin to take actions in line with that belief, and that will change your life. So like I have by no means achieved the amount of level of success that I am planning on achieving or growing, but I at least understand that much, that you have to believe in order to take actions in accordance with those beliefs, which will then determine your outcome. So like my advice to anybody, anywhere, is like you have to believe in yourself. It has to come from you first, and that will change your actions. And then other people will start to believe, because they will start to see the external evidence of what those actions do for you in the life that they start to create. I remember when I started parkour, nobody believed in what I was doing. But now I get really cool messages from people saying, I just saw you on ESPN playing World Chase Tag, or I just saw saw you on this TV show or whatever. Or, they see me in a Spider-Man costume on Instagram and are, saying great things, which is so awesome. But like the belief came from me first, and then you start to achieve external things that other people see. So like that's just what I want the most. I see so many so many incredibly gifted people that they don't believe in themselves. And because they don't believe that they can accomplish certain things, they're right. Because then they don't take any actions that would make that a possibility. So I want people to take a chance on themselves, because like I love the fact that I get to sit here with you, that I just flew from Los Angeles to Atlanta to go train at a World Chase Tag facility because I have a competition in Ohio next week. Yeah. And because I'm here, I get to have this great podcast with you. Like this is me building the life that I want. Like there's no place I would rather be. There's nothing I would rather be doing than sitting here talking with you right now, because that is the life that has been created based off of the beliefs and the actions that I've taken up until this point.
Omar, that's beautiful. Thank you so much. I love it. Thank you for sharing your inspiration and your beliefs. And thank you for helping to inspire others, and to remember to always tell us to believe in ourselves. Yeah. And wonderful things can happen if we stay on target.
Yeah, stay on target.
Stay on target. Omar Zaki, thank you, man.
Thank you so much for having me.
Blessing.
So honored, and thank you guys for listening. And I can't wait to see you accomplish great things.
Awesome. You guys got this. Thank you. Tir-Kai Tales, signing out.